on to these fellows that you see flanking me left and right here. This is the legend of the Barcelos cockerels. Okay, that's what they are. They are the Gallo de Barcelos. And there are a number of guides that you can find. I'm gonna go to the source of all wisdom, Wikipedia, of course, and share with you their guide to what the Gallo de Barcelos are about. But look, here's some lovely pictures from expatsportugal.com, who actually used the sign themselves in a nice sort of line art graphic sort of way. But there's some lovely pictures here, and you'll see as you go around as a tourist in Portugal, you'll see your tea towels and your ceramic tiles and your plates and even the little figurines. And it's, of course, what the Nandos chicken chain, restaurant chain, have used as well. And I was just thinking about this. I didn't realize that Nandos was a Portuguese brand. In my mind, I had it as a South American idea. And I have to say, frango, the barbecue chicken thing here, is amazing if you like chicken, if you eat meat. But it is a little bit secretive. Often, it's like the first time I discovered it, I wonder what all these people were doing outside a shop that it wasn't obvious what the shop was about. And then it became obvious because of the aroma emanating from within this wonderful takeaway. This is in San Martinho de Porto, where we were stranded for a little while. It's a great place to be stranded. You must go there if you're visiting Portugal. And I thought, I followed my nose, literally. And there's people standing around waiting for their Friday night barbecue chicken. And it was like a discovery. It was like being brought in under the wing of local people, pardon the pun, the chicken wing of local people. And going in there and seeing what was going on, seeing the bed of glowing charcoals, and the lines of chickens being roasted there, and you could get some migash, which is like I'll come back to migash on another episode. It's one of a kind, and you could get some chips, and you could get rice, obviously, and all the accompaniments that go with it. But the main thing is it's incredibly delicious barbecue chicken, and they don't make a big deal. All the locals know where to get it. There's no need to make a big deal. And then it's an initiation for me to find it. And that's what Nandos is about. Nandos is I suppose, the branding, the globalization of Portuguese barbecue chicken. And they've taken it all over the Western world, it would seem, as all the rest of the Western world I'm talking about. But they've taken it to, for me, Nandos is a bit like, making it fast food and a bit shopping centre-y, sort of, homogenized. It's pretty good, but it's not as good, it has to be said, and I'm sure they would say this yourself, as the original backstreet barbecue chicken shops where that whole idea emanates from. Somebody must have said, look, we must do this, we must brand this, and we must do this as a chain of restaurants, and they have, and they've obviously had some success doing it. But I digress, because this is about the rooster of Barcelos. I've got two of them. I've got a pair of roosters, and that's probably not a good idea, is it, to put two cockerels in the same place? But they seem to be behaving quite well. The folk tale of the rooster of Barcelos tells a story of a dead rooster's miraculous intervention in proving the innocence of a man that is part of the collection of the Oh, sorry, I've just skipped a line there. Tells a story of a dead rooster's miraculous intervention in proving the innocence of a man who had been falsely accused and sentenced to death. It's amazing how you can change a story by missing a line. The story is associated with the 17th century cavalry that is part of the collection of the Archaeological Museum located in Passo de Condes, a Gothic-style palace in the Barcelos, a city. Is that Barcelos, then, without the cedilla? Barcelos. I'm going to go with Barcelos, a city in the Braga district of northwest Portugal. Now, if any Portuguese people are watching, I think I've made more errors than usual. So bear that in mind and be kind with your feedback. According to the tale, a landowner in Barcelos had silver stolen, and the inhabitants of that city were looking for the person who had committed the crime. One day, a man from Galicia turned up and became suspect, obviously, despite his pleas of innocence. The Galician swore that he was merely passing through Barcelos on a pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela to complete a promise. You see, I want to say Barcelos, but I think it is Barcelos. Nevertheless, the authorities arrested the man and condemned him to hang. Yeesh. The man is rough justice in those days. The man asked him to take him in front of the judge who had condemned him. The authorities honoured his request and took him to the house of the magistrate, who was holding a banquet with some friends. Affirming his innocence, the man pointed to a roasted rooster on top of the banquet table and exclaimed, "It is as certain that I am innocent as that rooster will crow when they hang me." Now, that's a long shot by anyone's imagination, isn't it? Maybe he was just sort of playing for time at this point. The judge pushed aside his plate because he decided not to eat the rooster, but still, the judge ignored the appeal. However, while the pilgrim was being hanged, the roasted rooster stood up on the table and crowed as predicted. Now, if they could do that in Nandos, they would encourage a whole entire new wave of customers, would they not? Understanding his error, the judge ran to the gallows to discover that the man had been saved from being hanged thanks to a poorly made knot in the rope. The man was immediately freed and sent off in peace. Some years later, he returned to Barcelos to sculpt the cavalry, now you see, this is not the cavalry as in the cavalry have arrived. This is the cavalry as in the crucifix to the Lord of the Rooster. So he came back and I suppose paid his respects or gave his thanks, made his homage, coming back to Barcelos to sculpt the cavalry or crucifix to the Lord of the Rooster. In Portuguese, oh, here we go. I'm going to try. Cruzeiro do Senhor do Galo. Mr. Chicken, in praise to the Virgin Mary and to St. James. The monument is located in the Archaeological Museum of Barcelos. And you can see that, you see. Now, there are variations, which I should tell you about. In all the cases, the folk tale of the rooster of Barcelos is about a dead rooster that crows to prove an accused man's innocence. However, there are variations to the story. And here are some. The pilgrim is a guest whom the landowner invited to his banquet where silver is stolen. The pilgrim stays at a local inn, and it is the greedy owner of the inn who falsely accuses the pilgrim of the crime. There are two pilgrims, a father and a son. The son is accused, and the father pleads his innocence by calling on the rooster to crow. The rooster crows as soon as the accused man declares it will, so the man is never taken to the gallows. I'm rushing through these variations now. And the accused is not identified as being from Galicia. I think that might be a later bit of, should we call it rivalry, that was woven into the story later on, as often happens. So there you go. There is the Rooster of Barcelos tale, myth, legend that explains the presence to this day of the rooster in the culture of Portugal, including me co-opting it for my show branding. So I hope you found that interesting. And I'm open, as well as your pictures of your home renovation, I'm open to your own variations of that story as well, if you've heard something different to me. Okay, this is Munson on the Good Morning Portugal show and podcast, where we have just actually gone past 7,000 downloads of our podcast. So I thank you so much if you're one of our regulars listening now. If you can hear me in your ears now listening to the podcast, let me take this opportunity to say to you, thank you so much for subscribing to the, excuse me, I've just got emotional. I'll be thanking my agent and God in a minute. I think I might have a rooster feather in my throat. Oh, it's paint fumes from the weekend. But anyway, thank you so much for subscribing to the podcast. And that can be done, if you're not a subscriber, that can be done on all the big platforms. And I find Spotify the most attractive podcast platform to use at the moment, and you can subscribe to it there as well. So thank you very much for that. Another subscription you might be interested in is all our Casa do Dia, our properties that we feature are on our YouTube channel as well. Good Morning Portugal on YouTube. And if you're interested in property in Portugal, I urge you to subscribe to that as well. Coming up to 100 subscribers. I know that's not very many in terms of how influencers work on Portugal, but it means a lot to me actually that people are interested in what we're doing on there as well. And of course, whilst we're on the matter of all the various things you can subscribe to and be part of, we've just gone over 400, well over 400 people on our Facebook page. And we've got a nice little group in Facebook as well called Portuguese Positive News, where you can share, and I urge you to share your good news, your positivity about being in Portugal, because God knows there's quite a lot of negativity and gloom and doom around at the moment. But we've told you this morning how to deal with that. Just face it in your underwear. What is it with Portuguese people in underwear? Blue underwear at New Year, and sitting around facing the end of the world in their underwear, as I've described to you today. Okay.